Hi everyone, the name is Erik Thor, and in today's video we're talking about how INFPs can vibe with any of the 16 personalities, right? So how can you as an INFP have awesome conversations that are fun and engaging both for you and for them with each of the 16 personalities? Now there's three things you're gonna have to remember here. First thing I've recognized is that it's generally easier to talk to people that are similar to you, right? So the more similar they are to you, generally the more easy it is for you to talk to them. And another factor is how much do you know about this personality type? How much have you interacted with them in the past? And what general experiences do you have with them? And have these experiences been positive or negative in their nature, right? And so if you've grown up and felt like you always had a certain kind of friend, or that you had a certain kind of people in your life a lot, typically what you're going to find is this personality type is a lot easier to talk to and a lot more normal and easy and natural to speak with. Not necessarily because you and that personality type just naturally just vibe well, but sometimes just because you have more experience. You know and understand this type well. You know how to engage with them. You know what you can get and expect from them. And because of this, you know how to have a positive relationship with them. And the goal is to have that feeling with every single personality type. So how can you as an INFP experience this with opposite personality types, or personality types that you are not really comfortable with or have little experience with? Well, the first thing you want to recognize is ask a lot of questions. Ask them why they make the decisions they do. Ask them why they act the way they do. Ask them about their mood and their decision making and their emotions and their feelings and why they think the way they do. Ask them about their thought process. And try to sit down and reflect and experience and understand what it is that they are doing and why they do it. Because it's so easy to judge people just based on their general behavior and to assume intentions, feelings, values, and convictions. But while these to some extent could be accurate, they could also be completely wrong. And so you can also say, is this true? Why do you, is it because of this? You can also clarify what you're picking up on and what you're feeling. And you can say, hey, this is what I'm experiencing. Is this what you mean? Or is this what you intended by it? And give the other person a chance then to clarify what it is that they mean with it and why they do it and what they are trying to do with it, right? Another important thing to remember is that it's very easy to label other people as selfish or self-absorbed when we don't understand them. It's common, for example, when you talk about neurodivergent and neurotypical people, that neurotypical people will often assume selfishness in neurodivergence, and neurodivergence will often assume selfishness in neurotypicals, for example. And this is, for example, similar to generally every single person. We judge what we don't understand, and if somebody is different from us or thinks in a different way to us, it's very easy to judge and very easy to make up lazy explanations in our head of how they're evil or bad or mean-spirited or hostile in some way, even though this might be far from the truth, right? Now I'm going to be talking about strategies that you can use to have awesome conversations with people that are very different from you. And here I'm going to show you that there are two different ways to react to somebody being different from you. The first thing is, imagine you're talking with an ESTJ personality type. You're very opposite. Somebody that is more competitive, somebody that's more fast-paced, somebody that's more action-oriented or practical, and somebody that is more result-oriented, ambitious, and driven in many different ways of their life, right? The first thing you want to know as an INFP is, these are not bad qualities in a person. And if you look at somebody like Arnold Schwarzenegger or something like that, what you'll see is, wow, this is a person that can achieve a lot and can help society and can build cool systems and come up with cool, amazing gadgets and can perform amazing feats, right? Because they are strong and they're capable and resourceful and they have a lot of these qualities, right? So the first thing you want to recognize is that, this is what I can learn from this person, because you can learn something from every single one of the 16 personalities. And here's what you're gonna expect to learn from the ESTJ personality type. Now you might say, I don't really want to learn these things. And that's completely fine too. What you have to recognize then is, well, they can be all these things for themselves. And that's completely fine. It's completely fine for an ESTJ to do all these things for themselves and to be that way as who they are. And the most important thing you have to recognize as an INFP is you are completely valid the way you are, and they are completely valid the way they are, which means that they are completely in their right to live life the way they want to live their life and to do all the things that they want to do. And even if they do all these things, you don't really have to compare yourself with them. You don't have to feel like you should be more like them. You don't have to feel like you have to act like them or think like they do or do the things that they do. If you don't want to do these things, it's completely fine. And the most important thing you can do as an INFP is to say, hey, I'm going to let you do exactly what it is that you want to do, and I'm not going to judge you. Because if you can give that to them, and if you can make them feel that way, and say, if you can make them feel that, hey, this person is not going to judge me, they're not going to look up to me, and they're not going to look down at me. They're not going to criticize me, and they're not going to scorn me, and so on and so forth, you know. If you can give them that feeling, there's a big chance that they're going to give that feeling back to you too, because they're going to be like, hey, that's really cool that this person allows me to do all these things and doesn't judge me. I get a lot of criticism from people all the time, but this person, they just allow me to be who I am, right? And that's how you make the opposite relationship really work for you, because when you're dealing with an opposite, well, if you can build that space of mutual self-trust and acceptance, that's the best foundation for an opposite relationship to really, really hit off and to really become a fun and engaging experience for both of you. Because here's when something really miraculous happens. In a space of mutual acceptance, a lot of humor arises, because you're two opposites doing opposite things, and you're both completely cool with each other doing these opposite things. Can you just imagine that in a children's book? Just two opposite people going into a situation. Can you imagine all the comedic appeal, all the fun, and all the energy that can happen in these things? Well, Carl Jung certainly could, and he said that there's great energy that can be released in the opposite relationship. And he even argued as far as to say that flow happens when the opposite and the dominant is in flow. And so that's what you're looking to achieve for yourself too. And now the question is, how do you manage identical relationships? So imagine that you're dealing with somebody that's just the way you are, right? I've recognized that one thing that I've found very surprising about identical relationships is that it's very common in these situations to kind of have this kind of, well, we can talk about anything and we understand each other's 100%. But there's also comparison in the sense of, you know, what if they are doing that better than me? And what if they are more successful versions of my type than I am? What if they are more intelligent and more emotionally aware and more mature than I am, and all these things, right? So in some ways, the INFP relationship can be in that sense that it makes you feel like you're constantly in competition with each other. And to some extent, it can feel as if you take away space from the other person to do what they want to do, right? And now I'm focusing on the negatives here. I'll get to the positives soon. But I just want to say is that it's very important that you give them the space to be their version of INFP, and that you make them feel like they can do and make their own choices and figure out their own path, right? Just because you're similar doesn't mean that you need to do the exact same things as each other. So you don't have to live the life that the other person lives. You don't have to base your decisions on what they would have done. You can, and you're completely allowed to make your own path in life and to simply use each other's as a bouncing block, because that's what you can be at your best to some extent. You can be bouncing blocks that just help remind each other's of who you are, right? Because if you ever feel like you don't know who you are, go and talk to another INFP, because they're going to make you feel, wow, this is who I am. Wow, yeah, that's what I like. And yeah, that's what I care about. Yeah, that is what's important to me. So other INFPs can really help you connect with yourself. And that's why INFP friendships are so common and so positive. And so that's what you can also hope to expect. What you want to make sure is when you talk to an INFP is you make them feel verified and accepted, and you make them feel understood, and you make them feel that, hey, I can be myself, and this person can show me who I am. It can remind me of what it is that I have to offer the world, right? The other question is, how do you manage, for example, a mirror relationship with an ENFJ or an INFJ, or perhaps an ESFJ? And I made a relationship video about the INFP and the ENFJ relationship, but I also thought I'd focus on just the mirror pairing in general, because what you have to recognize when you're dealing with a mirror is that this is a potentially very inspiring match. This is somebody that can help you learn to be more outgoing, somebody that can help you learn to express your feelings more, somebody that can help improve your communication skills, and somebody that can help you put your feelings to words, right? So that's what you can expect from a mirror relationship. Somebody that can inspire you to do things you normally would not do, can make you more courageous, more bold, and all those things, right? But also recognize that a mirror relationship can be sometimes scary to enter into, because it can be that kind of a person that you're like, you're going to have a blast if you meet up with them, but you also don't know if you have the energy to meet up with them, because it also takes energy in a sense to get to talk to them and to put yourself out there and to put yourself in that situation with them, right? So that's what you're going to have to recognize, that yes, amazing relationship that has a very explosive and potential, and that can be really inspiring, and that can help you grow a lot, but also something that can be difficult if you're feeling anxious or stressed or low on energy, right? And so it's very important when you deal with mirror relationships that you also allow them to be more relaxing. They don't always have to be a challenging growth pairing, but they can also be just somebody you can relax with and somebody you can also do just easy things with. So when you're dealing with a mirror, also just allow them to, just meet up and talk, or just be chill and to just take it easy as well. Now let's talk about ISTP, INFP pairing. And through that, I think you'll gain a basic idea of how to navigate all the 16 personalities. I could talk about them all in specific, but that would make for a very stereotypical, shallow video where I'd only have time to really give the basics of each type. Instead, I can give you the generals that you can apply for each specific personality type, and you can figure it all out as you go, right? So when dealing with an ISTP, for example, what you might have to recognize is that, hey, this is a person that can be extremely comfortable for me, especially in a professional setting. This is a person that can help me become more intelligent, more critical, and more specialized in what I do. This is a person that can help me develop skills related to passions that I care about. This is a person that can help me to improve and think of new things I could do, a person that can help me learn and figure out new things in general. But also recognize the ISTP for a potential of being somebody who you can cool off with. So imagine that you're feeling very agitated or nervous or overwhelmed at some point. Typically, ISTPs are great to talk to in these situations, because ISTPs are great of just helping you detach from the situation, to take a step back, to just think about it. So if you're feeling extremely emotional or extremely upset about something, ISTPs can typically be a good person to talk to in these situations. They help you to really formulate your values and convictions in a rational sense, and they help you think of a concrete action plan, just as you help them make sure that they have a genuine sense of authenticity in what they do, and that they do things that they love and enjoy, not things that will make them depressed in a longer perspective, right? So yeah, that's the main 4 principles that you have to look at. How do you manage mirrors? How do you manage opposites? How do you manage identicals? And how do you manage people who are and act in a way that is similar to you in terms of temperament, but different to you in terms of values and motivations, right? Because the ISTP is different to you in terms of values and motivations, but similar in terms of temperament. And the ENFJ is similar to you in terms of values, but different to you in terms of temperament. And finally, the ESTJ is different from you in terms of basically everything. So what's your favorite match? What personality types do you get on the best with? And what personality type would you like to understand and get to know a little bit better? That's all for today. It's almost nighttime here. So thank you so much for watching, and see you all in the next video.